development and implementation of a state-supported sports doping program helped East Germany, with its small population, to become a world leader in sport during the 1970s and 1980s, winning a large number of Olympic and world gold medals and records. 158, 159. Another factor for success was the furtherance system for young people in the GDR. Sports teachers at school were encouraged to look for certain talents in children of ages 6 to 10. For older pupils it was possible to attend grammar schools with a focus on sports, for example sailing, football and swimming. This policy was also used for talented pupils with regard to music or mathematics. The East German football team lining up before a match in June 1974. Kranjun's sports clubs were highly subsidized, especially sports in which it was possible to get international fame. For example, the major leagues for ice hockey and basketball just included 2 teams each. Football was the most popular sport. Club football teams such as Dynamo Dresden, 1. FC Magdeburg, FC Karl Zeiss Jena, 1. FC Lokomotiv Leipzig and BFC Dynamo had successes in European competition. Many East German players such as Matthias Sommer and Ulf Kirsten became integral parts of the reunified national football team. The East and the West also competed via sport. GDR athletes dominated several Olympic sports. The SV Dynamo Club of the security agencies won more than 200 Olympic medals. Of special interest was the only football match between the Federal Republic of Germania and the German Democratic Republic, a first-round match during the 1974 FIFA World Cup, which the East won 1-0, but West Germany, the host, went on to win the World Cup. 160, television and radio. Gerhard Berendt with character from the stop animation series and München television and radio in East Germany were state-run industries. The Rundfunk der DDR was the official radio broadcasting organization from 1952 until unification. The organization was based in the Funkhaus Nalle Passstraße in East Berlin. Deutscher Fernsehfunk, DFF, from 1972 to 1990 known as Fernsehen der DDR or DDRFS, was the state television broadcaster from 1952. Reception of Western broadcasts was widespread. 161, motorsport. East Germany had a revolutionary technology for 2-stroke engines called expansion chamber, allowing them to win motorcycle races basically with no real competition. Alas, the main actor in this story, racer Ernst Degner, defected to Japan, taking the technology secret with him over to Suzuki. After the defection, East German motorcycle racing basically ended. Industry. Telecommunications. By the mid-1980s, East Germany possessed a well-developed communications system. There were approximately 3.6 million telephones in usage, 21.8 for every 100 inhabitants, and 16,476 telex stations. Both of these networks were run by the Deutsche Post der DDR, East German Post Office. East Germany was assigned telephone country code +37, in 1991, several months after reunification. East German telephone exchanges were incorporated into country code +49. An unusual feature of the telephone network was that, in most cases, direct distance dialing for long-distance calls was not possible. Although area codes were assigned to all major towns and cities, they were only used for switching international calls. Instead, each location had its own list of dialing codes with shorter codes for local calls and longer codes for long-distance calls. After unification, The existing network was largely replaced, and area codes and dialing became standardized. In 1976, East Germany inaugurated the operation of a ground-based radio station at Fürstenwald for the purpose of relaying and receiving communications from Soviet satellites and to serve as a participant in the International Telecommunications Organization established by the Soviet government, Intersputnik. Totalitarianism and repression. There is general consensus among academics that the GDR fulfilled most of the criteria to be considered a totalitarian state. There is, however, ongoing debate as to whether the more positive aspects of the regime can sufficiently dilute the harsher aspects so as to make the totalitarian tag seem excessive. According to the historian Mary Fulbrook, even those who are most critical of the concept admit that the regime possessed most, if not all, of the objective traits associated with the term, i.e. rule by a single party or elite that dominated the state machinery, that centrally directed and controlled the economy, mass communication, and all forms of social and cultural organization, that espoused an official, all-encompassing, utopian, or, depending on one's point of view, dystopian, ideology, and that used physical and mental terror and repression to achieve its goals, mobilize the masses, and silence opposition, all of which was made possible by the build-up of a vast state security service. 162. The State Security Service, SSD, was commonly known as the Stasi, and it was fundamental to the socialist leadership's attempts to reach their historical goal. It was an open secret in the GDR that the Stasi read people's mail and tapped phone calls. 163. They also employed a vast network of unofficial informers who would spy on people more directly and report to their Stasi handlers. These collaborators were hired in all walks of life and had access to nearly every organization in the country. At the end of the GDR in 1990 there were approximately 109,000 still active informants at every grade. 164. Repressive measures carried out with Stasi can be roughly divided into two main chronological groupings, pre- and post-1971, when Honecker came to power. According to the historian Nessim Glass, there was a change in how the Stasi operated under Honecker in 1971. The more brutal aspects of repression seen in the Stalinist era, torture, executions, and physical repression descending from the GDR's earlier days, was changed with a more selective use of power. 165. The more direct forms of repression such as arrest and torture could mean significant international condemnation for the GDR. However, the Stasi still needed to paralyze and disrupt what it considered to be hostile negative. 166. Forces, internal domestic enemies, if the socialist goal was to be properly realized. A person could be targeted by the Stasi for expressing politically, culturally, or religiously incorrect views, for performing hostile acts, or for being a member of a group which was considered sufficiently counterproductive to the socialist state to warrant intervention. As such, writers, artists, youth subcultures, and members of Fekirch were often targeted. 167. If after preliminary research the Stasi found an individual warranted action against them, then they would open an operational case. 167. In regard to them, there were two desirable outcomes for each case: that the person was either arrested, tried, and imprisoned for an ostensibly justified reason, or if this could not be achieved, that they were debilitated through the application of Zersetzung, transfer decomposition, methods. 168. In the Honecker era, Zersetzung became the primary method of Stasi repression, due in large part to an ambition to avoid political fallout from wrongful arrest. L. Zersetzung methods varied and were tailored depending on the individual being targeted. They are known to have included sending offensive mail to a person's house, the spreading of malicious rumors about them, banning them from traveling, sabotaging their career, breaking into their house and moving objects around it. These acts could be intensely intimidating and confusing for the person targeted. They frequently led to unemployment, social isolation, and poor mental health. Many people had various forms of mental or nervous breakdown. Similarly to physical imprisonment, Zasetsun methods had the effect of paralyzing a person's ability to operate, but with the advantage of the source being unknown or at least unprovable. There is ongoing debate as to whether directed energy devices, such as X-ray transmitters, were used in combination with the psychological warfare methods of Zasetsun. 169. In the modern day, victims of historical Zasetsun can draw a special pension from the German state. 170. The historian Mike Dennis states that between 1982 and 1988, the Stasi conducted about 4,500 to 5,000 of operational cases. 167, 171, official and public holidays. Date English name German name Remarks 1 January New Year's Day New Year March April Good Friday Karfreitag March April Easter Sunday Ostersonntag March April Easter Monday Ostermontag was not an official holiday after 1967.1 May International Workers' Day / May Day Tag der Arbeit, name in FRG. The official name was Internationaler Kampf- und Feiertag der Werktätigen, approximate International Day of the Struggle and Celebration of the Workers. 8 May Victory in Europe Day Tag der Befreiung. The translation means Day of Liberation. April June Father's Day / Ascension Day Vatertag / Christi Himmelfahrt Thursday after the 5th Sunday after Easter. Was not an official holiday after 1967. May June Whit Monday Pfingstmontag 50 days after Easter Sunday 7 October Republic Day Tag der Republik National Holiday November Day of Repentance and Prayer Bus und Betag penultimate Wednesday before the 4th Sunday before the 25th of December. Originally a Protestant feast day, it was demoted as an official holiday in 1967. 25 December 1st day of Christmas 1. Weihnachtsfeiertag 26 December 2nd day of Christmas 2. Weihnachtsfeiertag. Legacy. Decrepit infrastructure. Almost all East German highways, railroads, sewage systems and public buildings were in a state of disrepair at the time of reunification, as little was done to maintain infrastructure in the GDR's last decades. Unified German public spending has had to pour more than $2 trillion into the former East Germany, to make up for the region's neglect and malaise and bring it up to a minimal standard. 172. The Greifswald nuclear power plant closely avoided a Chernobyl-scale meltdown in 1976. 173. All East German nuclear power plants had to be shut down after reunification, because they did not meet Western safety standards. 174. Authoritarianism. German historian Georgian Karka in 2010 summarized the consensus of most recent scholarship conceptualizing the GDR as a dictatorship has become widely accepted, while the meaning of the concept dictatorship varies. Massive evidence has been collected that proves the repressive, undemocratic, illiberal, non-pluralistic character of the GDR regime and its ruling party. 175. Ostalgie. A booth selling East German and communist-themed memorabilia in Berlin. Percentage of party votes for Die Linke in the 2017 federal election. Many East Germans initially regarded the dissolution of the GDR positively. 176. But this reaction partly turned sour. 177. West Germans often acted as if they had won and East Germans had lost in unification, leading many East Germans, Ossis, to resent West Germans, Wessis. 178. In 2004, Oscar Barnstone wrote, East Germans resent the wealth possessed by West Germans. West Germans see the East Germans as lazy opportunists who want something for nothing. East Germans find Wessis arrogant and pushy. West Germans think the Ossis are lazy good-for-nothings. 179. In addition, many East German women found the West more appealing, and left the region never to return, leaving behind an underclass of poorly educated and jobless men. 180. For the people who stayed in East Germany, a majority of them, 57%, defend the GDR. 181. With 49% of those polled seeing that the GDR had more good sides than bad sides. There were some problems, but life was good there, while 8% oppose all criticism of East Germany and say that the GDR had, for the most part, good sides. Life there was happier and better than in reunified Germany today. 181. As of 2014, the vast majority of residents in the former GDR prefer to live in a unified Germany. However, a feeling of nostalgia persists among some, termed ostalgie, a blend of Ost-East and nostalgia. This was depicted in Wolfgang Becker film Goodbye Lenin. According to Klaus Schroeder, a historian and political scientist at the Free University of Berlin, some of the original residents of the GDR still feel they don't belong or that they are strangers in unified Germany, as life in the GDR was just more manageable. He warns German society should watch out in case nostalgia results in a distortion and romanticization of the past. 182, 183, Electoral consequences. The divide between the East and the West can be seen in contemporary German elections. The left-wing Die Linke party, which has roots in the SED, continues to have a strong hold and often wins a plurality in the East, such as in the German state of Thuringia, where it remains the most popular party. 184. This is in stark distinction from the West, where the more centrist parties such as the CDU/CSU and SPD dominate. Religion. Another way the divide between the West and the East can be seen in modern Germany is religion. As of 2009, more Germans are non-believers in Eastern Germany than Western Germany. 185, 186. Eastern Germany, which was historically Protestant, 95, is perhaps the least religious region in the world. 187, 188. An explanation for this, popular in other regions, is the aggressive state atheist policies of the German Democratic Republic's Socialist Unity Party of Germany. However, the enforcement of atheism existed only for the first few years. After that, the state allowed churches to have a relatively high level of autonomy. 189. Atheism is embraced by Germans of all ages, though irreligion is particularly common among younger Germans. 190. One study in September 2012 was unable to find a single person under 28 who believes in God. 95. See also Germany. History of Germany, 1945-1990, Leadership of East Germany Armed Forces Warsaw Pact logo. SVG. Warsaw Pact /GSSD logo. SVG. Group of Soviet forces in Germany. Ministry of National Defense, East Germany, Coat of Arms of NVA, East Germany. SVG. National People's Army Commando Landstreitkräfte emblem of the Ground Forces of NVA, East Germany. SVG. Landstreitkräfte Melbourne NVA, 1. JPG. Friedrich Engels Guard Regiment. Kommando Volksmarine Wappen Volksmarine NVA MIT Kilometer Orden. SVG. Flag of Warships of VM, East Germany, SVG. Volksmarine. Commando LSK /LV emblem of aircraft of NVA, East Germany, SVG. Luftstreitkräfte. Bestellabsicht in DDR Grenztruppen.png.